The talent waiting for their chance at Formula One is growing, and unfortunately, that means many drivers who've been underperforming have been put at risk this silly season. Daniel Ricciardo is the highest profile departure so far, and there's still a good chance that Mick Schumacher may be gone from the grid next year. The one that no one's too surprised by is Nicholas Latifi's departure though. But who's the favourite to come in and replace him? And are they actually any good? Let's find out. After the performance of Nick de Vries in Monza, it is impossible for Williams to justify the return of Nicholas Latifi for the 2023 Formula One season. There are 6 seats without confirmed drivers for the 2023 Formula One season, and 4 of those seats are at teams that already have 1 driver signed for next year. One of those, Williams, recently announced that Alex Albon has signed a multi-year contract extension to remain with the organisation for the foreseeable future. But Nicholas Latifi, who's driven for the team since 2020, has been on the hot seat. Even coming into the 2022 season, it was seen as somewhat of a foregone conclusion that the 27-year-old Canadian would not be back with the team next year. Albon's strong performances, including 3-point scoring efforts in his first season with the team, and the first season in Formula One since 2020, and the fact that he was rewarded with an extension, further fueled the idea that Latifi would not be back. The team have insisted for a while now that Latifi still has a chance at a seat in 2023, but following the Italian Grand Prix, that chance must now be gone. Nick de Vries was called up as a very late replacement for Alex Albon, and went on to out-qualify Latifi and started the race in 8th place. In the race itself, de Vries was able to hang with the pack and didn't make any crucial mistakes. He ran in the top 10 for much of the event, and he took the checkered flag in 9th place, giving him 2 points in his Formula One debut, with the team that sits in a distant last in the constructors' standings and had scored a total of just 4 points in the season's first 15 races. Considering de Vries is one of Williams' reserve drivers, the assumption of a lot of people was that he would instantly get the place, based on his performance in Italy, but it isn't that simple. De Vries gets a choice as well, and has been putting himself forward for other seats on the grid. We'll come back to de Vries later, but first, let's talk about the current favourite to partner Alex Albon next season, Logan Sargeant. Sargeant, who has enjoyed a strong rookie year in the F2 Championship and is scheduled to drive the FW44 in FP1 at his home race in Austin. Part of the fold since 2021, the 21-year-old Sargeant, hailing from Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the United States, heads into the final round of his Formula 2 season P3 in the standings. Catching the eye with back-to-back feature race victories at the Red Bull Ring and Silverstone this season, Sargeant has quietly put himself in the frame for a Williams call-up, though he cannot afford to take his foot off the gas at the final round in Abu Dhabi, even if Felipe Drugovich has already wrapped up the title. That is because Sargeant must not slip any lower than P5 in the final standings if he wants to obtain his super license needed to make it to Formula One. His fellow American Colton Herta fell short of super license points needed, with Red Bull eyeing him up for a 2023 AlphaTauri drive. So while Sargeant is showing that Herta is not the only American racer on the Formula One radar, he must secure the super license to achieve a different outcome to his compatriot. With 135 points compared to the 126 for Jack Doohan, Jehan Deruvala and Enzo Fittipaldi all tied behind, things are finally poised for Sargeant going into the last 2 races of the season. Now, if he does get that top 5 finish which he needs to qualify for a super license, then Williams would logically rank Sargeant very high in their list of options. After all, Williams are owned by American firm Doralton Capital, while it is seen as a potentially lucrative opportunity for a team to get an American driver on board, considering the surge in popularity which Formula One has experienced in the nation. However, team boss Jos Capito has made it clear that the marketing opportunities with Sargeant will not be a main motivator for promoting him. "We wouldn't take him because of that," Capito confirmed. "Either we think he's ready and he's capable or not. He could do another year of F2 or whatever. I think he's ready. Yeah, he needs some points. Of course, if he doesn't get the points, nothing helps. But yeah, I'm confident that he's ready if he gets the points or not." Despite Sargeant now being the favourite, Jost is still keeping his options open. "There's a good choice of drivers," he said. "It's a good choice of young drivers. There's still some experienced drivers there as well. And so I think it's quite different philosophies, different strategies. In the situation of the team, we can work on different strategies. We're not so much in front that we need two very experienced drivers, so we can experiment a bit and get young drivers in. So we'll see what turns out to be best. The shift in potential drivers has happened just a week after Nick De Vries' eye-catching weekend in Italy. The problem for Williams is that De Vries' debut was a little too eye-catching and caught the attention of Red Bull. Pierre Gasly has been looking for a way out of AlphaTauri since it became clear that Red Bull weren't going to promote him to replace Sergio Perez anytime soon. Alpine have taken an interest, and the word from the team is that Gasly is the clear favourite. If De Vries does join AlphaTauri, then Pierre Gasly will be released to go to Alpine. If Gasly stays put, then De Vries is high on Alpine's list of possible replacements for Fernando Alonso. The situation is complicated by Alpine's planned test with its 2021 car in Budapest next week, with Antonio Giovinazzi running on Tuesday, De Vries on Wednesday, and Jack Doohan on Thursday. The team says it's in no hurry to make a decision. De Vries has insisted that it's not a matter of him being able to decide where he goes though. "I don't quite know if I'm in such a luxury situation that I can choose," he said in an interview on Dutch TV. "Largely, that is beyond my control. I have been in talks with Williams for a long time, and I was also able to make my debut there last weekend. That would be a logical step. Alpine, I've been in contact with since July, and I will test for them in Budapest next week. I'll fly there on Monday. And as the media had noticed yesterday, I went to Austria to meet Helmut Marko. Those are the facts. A move to AlphaTauri would provide a clearer career path to the top of the sport than a move to Williams would. At AlphaTauri, he would have the chance to show his skills, and if he impresses, would be able to make a move into Sergio Perez's seat at Red Bull when the time is right. Of course, it isn't quite that simple. If Perez continues to perform at the level he is at the moment, then there really isn't any need for Red Bull to move him on. Vettel and Alonso have shown that drivers can comfortably drive into their late 30s, so Checo could be around for at least another 5 years, if not longer. While AlphaTauri should be able to provide him with a car to show his skills, the new Williams car would not. His race at Monza was incredibly impressive, but it was the perfect place for that car to race. Around a track that requires more downforce, the FW44 performs far worse. The car may be worse at Williams, but it would keep him in contention for Lewis Hamilton's job when the Brit retires. Like Sergio Perez though, that could be in 2 years or it could be in 10. De Vries is playing it smart and has suggested that he doesn't have a preference where he ends up. He'd be satisfied with any of the options that are currently on the table. "Wherever I can get a permanent seat, I would be very happy with that. We have to see how it will develop in the coming days and weeks. As I said, it's not entirely in my control. In this world, not everything is about performance, but there is momentum now. That makes a difference, but it does not guarantee a seat. We're not that far yet. While it is exciting to have all these great new drivers coming to the grid, it's never nice to see people leave. Whatever your opinion of Nicholas Latifi is, he worked his entire life to make it to Formula 1, and that should be commended. It is unfortunate that his career will be remembered most for the impact his crash had on the 2021 season finale. Despite the unintentional nature of his crash, that did not stop some Lewis Hamilton fans from sending the Canadian death threats online. The abuse got so bad that Latifi said he beefed up his security and came off his social media platforms. Williams team boss Capito has said that the team felt it was important not to push him too much following the abuse, as they believed it was only going to make things worse. It was extremely hard. I think that's hard for absolutely everybody, and I think everybody who didn't go through this had no idea how that feels, Capito suggested. So even if you switch your social media off, you're in contact with other people who will still see it, and it's going on, and you just can't get away. I think that was also a part why it took him quite a while in the season to find his competitiveness. I'm sure it affected his driving after that, and it would have affected my driving a lot. I'm absolutely convinced about this. It's sad to think that a small section of Formula 1 fans are responsible for the destruction of a driver's confidence. Latifi may never have been a fan favourite, and he was never going to compete on the level of the top drivers in the sport, but he took the chance given to him and competed with dignity, and deserves far more respect than he has been given. Wherever he goes next, we wish him the best of luck with his career. If you were Williams, who would you take? Sargent or De Vries? Let us know in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.